Yesterday we talked about characters' emotions versus traits. We created an anchor chart to talk about how authors describe how a character feels at a certain time versus traits which describe the character's personality over a certain time period within the book. When you look at a character's emotions, you ask, how does the character feel right now? Some examples included scared, surprised, angry, upset, embarrassed, jealous. The character's personality traits, you ask, how does the character usually behave? Some examples include kind, determined, outgoing, friendly, brave, confident, bossy, shy, reckless, generous, and selfish. The question that we will look at today is, how do we infer character traits and emotions by what characters say and do? We will use this as a guide to help us identify Molly Lou Mellon and her emotions and her traits. Remember, we're going to refer back to the anchor chart to help us identify emotions versus traits. Here are some of the emotions that we looked at yesterday: happy, joyful, content, silly. Some were scared, worried, confused, surprised, hurt, or embarrassed. There are also others to state how you are feeling. Character traits is how a person acts over a period of time within the book that you are reading. Some of the ones that we will look at are bright, cheerful, considerate, friendly, confident, active, adventurous, humble, responsible, courageous. This is the book called Stand Tall, Molly Lou Mellon, written by Patti LaBelle and illustrated by David Catrow. As we read this book, we will identify how Molly is feeling and the traits that she has in how her character acts and by what she says and what she does. This book is a fiction book. Therefore, the author's purpose is to entertain. As we read, there's going to be a problem and a solution. However, we're going to focus on Molly Lou Mellon and her emotions and traits throughout the book and how she changes. Molly Lou Mellon stood just taller than her dog and was the shortest girl in the first grade. She didn't mind. Her grandma had told her, "Walk as proudly as you can and the world will look up to you." So she did. So right now I'm thinking that Molly is very proud. And that is exactly what the author had just said. Since she walks proudly, I'm going to write as a trait that she is proud. That might change a little bit as we read the story, but I'm going based on what the author says. Molly Lou Mellon had buck teeth that stuck out so far she could stack pennies on them. She didn't mind. Her grandma had told her, "Smile big and the world will smile right alongside of you." So she did. I'm thinking that at this point, Molly still has some pride, which means she's very proud, and that she is very confident in who she is. Let's keep reading to confirm that this is true. Molly Lou Mellon had a voice that sounded like a bullfrog being squeezed by a boa constrictor. She didn't mind. Her grandma had told her, "Sing out clear and strong and the world will cry tears of joy." Going back, do you see the simile right here? She sounded like a bullfrog being squeezed by a boa constrictor. You know, that must sound like a terrible sound when she sings, but it sounds like her grandma wants her to be exactly who she is, and to be very proud of who she is. Let's see how she takes this one. So she did. I'm still thinking that Molly Lou Melon is very proud of who she is and she's confident. So let's go ahead and add that. I'm now going to write confident on this list. This is because Molly Lou Melon is demonstrating how confident she is, even though she sounds differently or looks different than other people. Make sure you have these written down as well. Molly Lou Melon was often fumble-fingered. This means that she dropped things a lot. She didn't mind. Her grandma had told her, "Believe in yourself and the world will believe in you too." Notice the authors actually used alliteration right here, fumble-fingered, to illustrate Molly Lou Melon. So she did. Then Molly Lou Melon moved to a new town. She had to say goodbye to her grandma and all of her friends, and start in a new school. Based on her expression in the illustration, I can tell that Molly Lou Melon looks a little bit worried about starting at a new school. Let's go ahead and in emotions write worried based on her expression in the illustration. On the first day of school, Ronald Durkin called her Shrimpo in gym class. When the game started, Molly Lou Melon caught the football, ran under the legs of Ronald Durkin, and scored a touchdown. All the children thought, "Wow, she's good," and Ronald Durkin felt very foolish. This time, it seems like Molly Lou Melon doesn't let anything stand in her way of doing what she wants to do, not even being called a shrimpo. So I think one word that could describe her would be ambitious. When you're ambitious, you kind of set out for your goals and try to accomplish them. In this case, she was playing football, and she ran and she scored a touchdown. On the second day of school, Ronald Durkin called her Bucky-Tooth Beaver. Molly Lou Melon took out her pennies, stacked 10 high on her teeth, and smiled as big as day. All the children smiled with glee, and Ronald Durkin felt very foolish. At this point, I would say that Molly Lou Melon is still very confident in her abilities. She's very proud of who she is, and she still shows that she's ambitious. She'll kind of do whatever she needs to prove who she is. On the third day of school, Ronald Durkin said, "You sound like a sick duck, honk honk." Molly Lou Melon sang out a quack so clear and strong that it made Ronald Durkin somersault backwards, hit his head, and have to go to the nurse. All the children cried with joy to be free of Ronald Durkin for the rest of the afternoon, and Ronald Durkin felt very foolish. On the fourth day of school, Ronald Durkin said that she'd made the snowflake all wrong, but Molly Lou Melon opened up her paper and revealed the most beautiful snowflake of all. All the children oohed and ahed, even Ronald. On the fifth day of school, Ronald Durkin brought Molly Lou Melon a stacking penny for her tooth and smiled at her. Why do you think he was smiling at her? And why do you think he brought a stacking penny for her? I thought he really didn't like Molly Lou Melon the way he treated her. Well, let's think. I think he's beginning to realize that Molly Lou Melon is a really neat, student and that he could actually be friends with her. So I'm thinking he's trying to do things that would be nice for her, like bringing her a stacking penny and smiling at her. That night, Molly Lou Melon took out a pencil and paper and wrote a letter to her grandma. Dear Grandma, I wanted to tell you that everything you told me was exactly right. Love, Molly Lou Melon. I'm wondering, what do you think she meant by that what you told me was exactly right? What advice did her grandmother give her on every page of this book? It all added up to just being yourself. It doesn't matter who you are or what strengths and what areas of need that you have. You should just be true to yourself and be who you are all of the time without trying to please anyone else. So as we continue reading stories and looking for character emotions versus traits, be thinking about how characters feel and how characters act.